A man with a unique ability was kidnapped for his organs. After escaping them, he later realizes that the eye he left gets transported to a serial killer. Will he be able to catch him, or will the serial killer reach him first? Let's find out. One night, a man named Dong-soo gets kidnapped by organ traffickers. He is taken to a surgeon who doesn't waste time and begins opening up his body immediately. However, instead of proper medical tools, the surgeon uses a bolt cutter in harvesting Dong-soo's internal organs. Afterward, the rest of his body is chopped into pieces and placed inside a garbage bag. Just as when the surgeon is about to dispose of it, Dong-soo's chopped body parts start moving in his direction. Suddenly, the surgeon wakes up, relieved that it's only a nightmare, and utters the word connect. At this time, a post on social media asks if anyone knows about the urban legend called Connect. Reading this, a female novelist named Irang replies saying that she is currently writing a web novel about it. Irang then convinces the person that posted the question to exchange information with her about the urban legend. The next morning, the people are mesmerized by an art display that suddenly appears on the street, but as they take pictures of it, the statue begins to bleed. As it turns out, the display is actually a dead body that was preserved to be a statue. Moments later, police detectives Choi, Park, and Yeom arrive at the crime scene to investigate the body. Meanwhile, Dong-soo, who is now wearing an eye patch, stands in the crowd quietly, thoroughly observing what is happening. The body is then taken to the forensic lab for future analysis. There, they discover the signature of the serial killer embedded in the body of the victim like a proud artist. Park and Yeom notice that the signature looks like a combination of letters P and L and realize that they're dealing with an artistic serial killer. At night, Dong-soo passes the time by playing the guitar to the tune of the original song he composed. Suddenly, he feels pain in his empty right eye socket. Just then, his vision changes to the point of view of another person. Confused, Dong-soo watches as the man looks up at the horoscope website on his computer and focuses on the symbol that is like a combination of P and L, the same symbol as the signature of the serial killer. At this moment, it is then revealed that Dong-soo's eye is transplanted into a man named Jin Seop, and to make matters worse, Jin Seop is the serial killer. At this moment, Dong-soo remembers the night he was kidnapped. Even after his eyes were plucked out, he can still see the surgeon messing with his body. The surgeon then noticed that Dong-soo's eyes seemed to be looking at him directly and got creeped out. Due to that, he turned them to the other side, only to find them looking at him again. Suddenly, the surgeon's phone rang, scaring him. At this time, muscle fibers emerged from Dong-soo's wounds and stitched them together, eventually healing him. Without the surgeon noticing, Dong-soo stood up and stumbled his way to his eyes. When he looked back, the surgeon watched in horror as the muscle fibers put Dong-soo's left eye back into its place. Scared, he called for backup, causing Dong-soo to quickly get out of there, unfortunately forgetting his right eye. With all of this in mind, Dong-soo deduces that he can still access his right eye and see what the other person is seeing through it. The next day, the police deliberate on the past two victims of the serial killer. But no matter how they connect the victims, they cannot find a pattern or common ground that can relate to the two of them. All they know is that the suspect kills his victim with so much care and effort just to design it like a Greek statue. Yet, the killer purposely left a tear in the flesh for it to bleed like he wanted to announce his murder. At this time, Park jokingly says that they need Choi's sniffing ability now. Yeom asks about it, to which Park explains that when Choi sniffs a suspect, his nose will bleed. Hearing this, the other officers laugh, but Choi tells them to stop immediately. Simultaneously, in the junk shop where Dong-soo is working, his grandmother rants that her husband is not home yet. Hearing this, Dong-soo goes out to look for his grandfather and finds out that he is being picked on by students after he almost hit one of them with his cart. Dong-soo immediately comes to his grandfather's aid, telling him to go back to the junk shop. This angers the students, and they start beating him instead. One of them picks up a knife and swings it at Dong-soo, but he doesn't evade, just looking them dead in the eyes as his ears gets cut off. As it falls off, his eye patch follows, revealing his missing right eye. Seeing this, the students get scared and call him a monster. This brings back a memory of Dong-soo's childhood when he fell from a tree. As his broken body healed itself, the other children got scared and called him a monster. The students then run away, coming across one of the traffickers who happens to hear them talking about Dong-soo. After that, the trafficker notifies his boss, Mr. Kim, that Dong-soo has not left the town yet. Due to that, Mr. Kim orders his men to continue looking for Dong-soo. Unknown to them, their hideout has been tapped by Irang. As it turns out, Mr. Kim is the one who posted about Connect, and Irang met with them a few days ago. As his conversation with his right-hand man, Min-suk, continues, Irang hears them talking about a man they assume to be a Connect. Later that night, Jin Seop is currently listening to a song while drawing. When the music changes to Dong-soo's song, he feels pain in his right eye. At the same time, Dong-soo also feels pain in his right eye socket. As Jin Seop turns off the music, the pain goes away for both of them. Tired of all these visions, Dong-soo decides to get back his eye and he starts on the hideout of the traffickers. But as soon as he gets spotted by the same man who kidnapped him, Dong-soo quickly runs away. Seeing him, the traffickers chase after him and get Dong-soo cornered not long after. Luckily, he manages to get away and crosses the railway before a train passes. And to his surprise, Irang shows up and drags him somewhere. He asks who she is, but as the traffickers get near, Irang doesn't answer and points him in what she says is a safe direction. However, it turns out to be a dead end where he finds Irang waiting for him. All of a sudden, she cuts his knee. To her amazement, the wound heals itself. After that, she pushes him off the metal fence before the traffickers find them, allowing Dong-soo to escape. Elsewhere, Jin Seo picks up his next target and prepares to turn her into another artwork of his. The next morning comes, and a woman named Sun Hee listens to Dong-soo's song on her way to work. She is Jin Seop's workmate and has a huge crush on him. Outside the office, Jin Seop hears her humming Dong-soo's song, causing another pain in his right eye. As expected, Dong-soo feels the same pain as well, but this time he sees Sun Hee through Jin Seop's point of view. And to his luck, he is familiar with the place where Jin Seop and Sun Hee are. Meanwhile, at the station, Yeom shows Choi and Park that the serial killer is somehow gaining support from all over the world because of his art. After a while, Choi sees a photograph of the crowd during the emergence of corpse art. Upon seeing Dong-soo suspiciously standing among the crowd, Choi suddenly gets a nosebleed. Seeing this, Park rejoices, saying that they finally have a lead, while Yeom cannot believe that Park was actually telling the truth back then. Choi then orders Park to investigate Dong-soo. At home, Dong-soo gets a vision again. Seeing the man scan through his sketchpad, he notices the same signature on the paper. That is exactly like those in corpse art. This time, Dong-soo finally realizes that his right eye was somehow transplanted into a serial killer. As the next day arrives, Dong-soo starts looking for Jin Seop, starting from his workplace. When he sees Sun Hee, along with another female workmate named Ji-young, he tries to talk to them, but they think he is a pervert and dismisses him. Sometime later, Jin Seop is eating his lunch when he gets spotted by Sun Hee, Ji-young, and another workmate named Myung-han. As Dong-soo's song plays in the background, Jin Seop and Dong-soo share a vision again. Looking right through Jin Seop's point of view, Dong-soo sees where he's currently at. When he arrives at the restaurant, Dong-soo bumped into Jin Seop, but doesn't notice that it is the person he's been looking for. Seeing Sun Hee again, he tries to talk to her again, but he gets assaulted by Ma Young-han, thinking that he's just stalking her. Later that night, Dong-soo researches the corpse art case, but there's no follow-up yet. Fortunately for him, the same horoscope advertisement from the serial killer's vision pops up on his computer. Thinking that he will get some lead from here, Dong-soo heads to an astrologer named Young-ran. There, he asks about the symbol with the letters P and L on it, to which the astrologer says that it's a symbol for the planet Pluto. After the explanation about planets and their meanings, Dong-soo learns that the serial killer is basing himself on the conjunction dates of Pluto and Venus, which each represents death and art. And to his shock, the next kill will be on Christmas Day, followed by the last kill on January 6th. After Dong-soo leaves, Young Ran, who happens to know Choi, calls the detective. After arriving at the station, she tells Choi, Park, and Yum everything she told Dong-soo. Because of this, Choi's suspicion of Dong-soo grows. Meanwhile, Jeon-sup gets a visit from Sun-hee at his house. He's about to send her away, but she insists that he should take the time to get to know her. With that, Jeon-sup and Sun-hee spend time together in the bedroom. After, Sun-hee goes to the kitchen to drink water. Unexpectedly, she stumbles upon Jeon-sup's study room where she finds his sketchpad. When Sun-hee browses through it, she realizes what kind of man she just slept with. The next morning comes, and she reads the news about Jin-sup's latest victim. At the crime scene, Dong-soo catches sight of the traffickers, and they immediately pursue him. Seeing the commotion caused by the chase, Choi, Park, and Yom join the hunt for Dong-soo. With both the traffickers and police on his tail, Dong-soo cannot do anything but run. As he comes across a trafficker, something triggers in Dong-soo's body, and he suddenly becomes good at fighting. Shortly after, the trafficker that kidnapped him cuts off his arm. To the man's amusement, he picks up Dong-soo's arm and watches it attached to his body again. Suddenly, Irang shows up and tases the man. The two then escape together. When they're far away from trouble, Dong-soo remembers that the trafficker called him a connect and asks Irang about it. However, according to her, it's a long story, so she just exchanges phone numbers with him so Dong-soo can contact her anytime. On the other hand, Park catches one of the traffickers. Concurrently, when Sun-hee arrives at the office, she asks for Ma Young-hun's help with Jin-seop. On the rooftop, Ma Young-hun hides while Sun-hee attempts to confront Jeon-sup. Unfortunately, Ma Young-hun's phone rings and he's discovered by Jin-seop. As he tries to explain himself, Sun-hee stops him, revealing that Jin-seop is a serial killer. Hearing this, Jin-seop quickly covers Sun-hee with his coat and knocks her out. Then, he fights with Ma Young-hun. However, as Sun-hee's phone rings to the tune of Dong-soo's song, Jin-seop shares his vision with Dong-soo. Seeing that the serial killer is on it again, Dong-soo rushes to the building where Jin-seop works, only to be greeted by Ma Young-hun dropping from the rooftop. At this time, Sun-hee regains consciousness and begs Jin-seop for her life. However, the serial killer doesn't spare her and breaks her neck. Before he leaves, Jin-seop looks at the ringing phone and finds out that it's Dong-soo's song that makes his right eye hurt. A little later, Ji-young finds Sun-hee's dead body and screams in agony. With everything he witnesses, Dong-soo rushes and sneaks into the building in hopes of catching Jin-seop. Seeing a man carrying the coat that he saw earlier go to the restroom, Dong-soo confronts the first man he sees. However, this man is not who he's looking for. Jin-seop is actually hiding in one of the cubicles. Because of this, the man calls security on him and Dong-soo gets caught. And to make matters worse, as Ji-young sees him, she blames Dong-soo for Sun-hee's and Ma Young-hun's death. Dong-soo insists that he's not the murderer and warns Jin-seop that he will come after him. Arriving at the ground floor, Irang helps Dong-soo to escape once again. After a while, Choi and Park arrive to conduct an investigation. Upon reviewing the security camera, Park notices that Dong-soo couldn't have killed Sun-hee and Ma Young-hun because he snuck inside the building after the man had fallen. Choi knows that Park's assumption makes sense and asks to review the footage of Irang next. Looking carefully at Irang's image, Choi has his nosebleeds again. In his cubicle, Jin-seop wonders how Dong-soo knows about him even if he never gets to see his face. Just then, he suspects that his right eye has something to do with Dong-soo's missing right eye. At this moment, he comes to a realization that Dong-soo can still see through his right eye, that's why he knows what he has been doing. Shortly after, Choi and Park show up to ask him some questions. They ask about his coat and why is Dong-soo blabbering about his missing eye, but Jin-seop casually answers that he knows nothing of both. After a few minutes, Ji-young steps in and tells the two detectives to solve the case instead of pestering civilians. Unexpectedly, Jin-seop gets annoyed with Ji-young and lightly pushes her outside the boundary of his cubicle. Choi notices this and tells Park about it when they get outside the building. He also adds that Jin Seop is different from ordinary people as he gets annoyed with completely different things. In the meantime, Dong-soo takes Irang home. There, she sees a photo of Dong-soo's parents where he just put himself on top to make it look like a family picture. As he hands her a cup of coffee, Dong-soo asks who she is and what she truly wants. Irang says that she's just a novelist who wants to write about connects. She then shares with him that when she was a kid, another kid saved her from getting hit by a truck. This kid turned out to be a connect, and she never saw him since then without expressing gratitude. This is the reason why Irang became interested in the urban legend of Connect. She also admits that she knew about him after putting a tapping device in the trafficker's hideout. At this moment, Dong-soo finally asks what is a Connect. According to Irang, all she knows is that it has something to do with Jeongdo Pharmaceuticals, the #1 company in the country. In turn, she asks him if he wants to investigate Connect with her, but Dong-soo declines, saying that he needs to stop the serial killer first. He confesses that when he left his right eye with the traffickers, it gets transplanted to a serial killer and that he can still see through his right eye at times. This information is new to Irang, so she asks if he can also access the other senses of the killer. Dong-soo says no, arguing that the killer only has his eye, so he can only tap into the man's vision. Hearing this, Irang removes Dong-soo's eye patch and puts on sunglasses on him instead. She points out that everyone is looking for a man with an eye patch now, so he will be safer if wearing sunglasses instead. After a while, they go out to get dinner, but discover that Dong-soo's wanted poster is already posted everywhere. As he quickly heads out of the convenience store, Dong-soo's right eye socket hurts again. Jin Seop turns out to be testing if Dong-soo's song triggers the pain in his right eye. As he listens to the song, he gets enlightened that the singer sounds exactly like Dong-soo and starts connecting the dots. On the other hand, Dong-soo also confirms that his right eye is responding to his song, which causes him and Jin Seop to share visions. Because of that, Irang warns Dong-soo that the serial killer might already find out about it too and will come after him. However, Dong-soo jokes with confidence that he can just take whatever attack and will heal afterward. Yet Irang reminds him that the serial killer can still attack him in other ways, like exposing his identity and ability on social media. With that in mind, Irang orders him to lay low first while she continues the investigation. The next day, Dong-soo hears on the radio that his song gets a cover by a famous singer named Z. Knowing that his song will be appreciated by many through Z's rendition, Dong-soo feels happy about it. Meanwhile, at the recording studio, Jin Seop visits Z to ask about the original artist behind the song, referring to Dong-soo. According to Jin Seop, he's looking for the original artist to hire him for their company's advertisement. However, Z swears that he doesn't know about the artist either. At the same time, Park is interrogating the trafficker he caught at the station, but the man insists that he was just jogging at the wrong time and the wrong place. A little later, Choi arrives and orders Park to release the man, yet he still tells Park to follow and investigate him. Speaking of the traffickers, Mr. Kim contacts a man named Woojin and orders him to keep watch on the eye recipient, referring to Jin Seop, at all times. Irang hears this and the revelation that the serial killer is dying. Just then, her spying game ends when Min Suk discovers the tapping device she put behind the television as he looks for his pet hamster. Acting quickly, Irang destroys her listening device and immediately gets out of where she is. But this already puts her on Mr. Kim's target list. Later that night, Irang follows Woojin and discovers where the serial killer is living. Inside his apartment, Jin Seop is struggling as his sickness consumes him. Yet this doesn't stop him from planning the last masterpiece, which seems to involve himself. The following day, Irang tells Dong-soo everything that she had discovered, when suddenly he gets a vision. But this time, Jin Seop is actually doing it on purpose to communicate with him. Jin Seop shows him the next artwork/murder that he's planning. And to Dong-soo's horror, this includes 3 children. Seeing this, he promises himself that he will stop the serial killer from committing the horrible act he's planning. When night falls, Dong-soo gets another vision in which he sees himself, indicating that the serial killer has already found him. Looking around, he notices a suspicious man in a van and tries to chase after him, but fails. It is then revealed that Jin Seop goes back to the surgeon and assaults him. He says that they will need to have a serious talk about his eye. On the other hand, Dong-soo gets caught by the police. As Choi approaches him, the detective tells him that they need to talk somewhere private. The first 3 episodes of Connect perfectly sets up the characters and conflict of the series. This allows the audience to get more hooked and actually invest time in watching Connect. With its fast pacing and great storytelling, there is not one boring moment in the show.